Welcome to Mastering Machines, where we discover tomorrow's reality.
Welcome to Mastering Machines, where we discover tomorrow's reality. I was reading Neuron Daily, which is one of my favorite AI newsletters. If you haven't, you should give them a read. They had a state of an AI report that was done by a blog called Retool through Cash. And it talks about all these different trends that they're seeing in the AI world. I'll put the link in the description. The whole point of the AI report is to cut through the noise and survey 750 tech folks. That includes developers, data teams, leadership, all these different types of people across the tech industry, and to see how are they actually using AI and what they think is going to be the next couple of trends in the upcoming year. So let's jump into it, and I'm going to go chapter by chapter of the AI report and kind of give my spiel. As we start at the beginning of the report, we can see that they surveyed 750 tech people, including developers, data teams, leadership, and other people across technical roles in the industry to share their takes on where kind of AI is going and where it's heading as far as the future of, many industries. We come here to part one. We can see that they basically asked one question and had three different responses for the respondents to pick from, whether AI was underrated, fairly rated, or overrated. And most picked overrated. I don't know if that, surprises people, but I definitely think that it kind of surprises me because I would expect more people to see that it's actually underrated, especially for the use cases that it has. But I do agree with some of the write-in responses that some of the respondents had. Like this one right here, AI is being shoehorned into products without really adding value. I do agree with that. I think that there are a lot of people just implementing it just to say that they have AI into their product. This other one is really interesting. AI is treated as a magic hammer, including in cases where conventional programming would suffice or outperform AI. In part two here, they talk about whether AI adoption is actually skyrocketing, and they had, these choices here. I thought it was pretty interesting, but we'll head on down here to the third part, which I think was really interesting because it talks about leadership, and it says here, leadership wants more investment in AI. And I definitely think that that's how it's just going with a lot of these companies here, that they're just want to just push something into AI into their company just to say that they have it. But you can see right here that across all teams and seniorities, only a small percentage of respondents felt their company is actually over investing in AI. So I definitely think that we have a lot more room to grow here. One of the things that stands out from the report is this one right here is that then we have the part of the report that talks about how AI work has changed and what some of the policies are and how they've changed within different businesses. We can see that. And then it's a really interesting thing. They say that only about 9% of those secretly using AI are doing so directly contrary to company policy. And I think that's really interesting because, you got to see that there still are some policies in place in a lot of these companies where AI is not really secure, or it's kind of frowned upon because it might bring cybersecurity risk or for whatever the policy is for the company. But it's very interesting to see that. Also, they talk about how there's 45% rated entry level ICs are most at risk of being replaced by AI. And I think that's kind of a trend of what we're seeing across industry wide, is that a lot of the junior positions of software engineering, even sales, have been replaced by AI. Here's the chatbot portion that kind of talks about AI powered chatbots and RAG and how these bots are impacting different industries. So you can see right here the actual live internal use cases. We see that a lot of people are using it to write code, and we've seen the software engineering position change based on AI copilots and basically AI programs that code with you. And I think that that's going to be a huge driver for a lot of productivity in the future, even the next couple of years. So you see the graph here. And then they, talking about writing code or queries dropped 5.4 points from 47.5 to 42.1. And then they talk about the teams that use AI. So, obviously 45% is engineering, and that makes sense. But then, you see you have data science and product management and all these different aspects. And we really have to see like what's going to happen when all of these other departments kind of capture the AI market or actually fall into the AI market. Like legal, LLMs are obviously going to be a great use case for them, and might bring a lot of change to that particular department. And then you see the portion where it talks about uh, people using it for internal or external use. There were around 8.5% of people that said that, it's strongly external, and then another 33% that said that was strongly internal, where AI will be the most useful for them. And then we see here, we have the use cases. Obviously software engineers love it because you can generate code, but I think this is in line of what we're seeing as well, is that a lot of client onboarding, outreach, a lot of those people would like to use it more. Then we see here in the portion of the AI report that talks about the most frequently used models that obviously ChatGPT is head above, everybody else, and we could see that in other data points that we've seen in the news. ChatGPT is making billions of dollars through their ChatGPT Plus subscription, and of course their API is printing money, and a lot of large companies are using their API over a lot of the other models. But we could see right here that the closest here is Llama 2. We see Gemini, we see Claude, and I'm assuming with Claude's recent popularity in the last month that it's probably going to go up, especially with like artifacts and, Claude Sonnet being so popularized by a lot of developers, that we'll see that go up. But we could see right here that, GPT is heads above everybody. One of the most interesting sections of the report for me was the customizing models portion. It talks about how, some developers are using vector DBs, some are using, fine tuning existing models, 29.3%, and that's what I feel like a lot of companies are doing currently. But you can see that it really is going to be the new future of, fine tuning using RAG, all these different elements to customize these models to whatever your use case is. Also, it talks about some of the more popular inference platforms, and the two that are mentioned are Amazon SageMaker and Databricks. I think that these are the two biggest and probably have the biggest kind of support as far as just having an ecosystem and having a large company behind it. So that obviously makes sense. See right here, it talks about Hugging Face as well. Hugging Face being one of the, top AI providers out there as far as like open source. And I think that they're going to be one of the companies in the future that really stands out as far as just, providing all these different models and then also providing services for people in the open source world. One of the last sections that's in the report talks about GPUs. Obviously, GPUs have been a huge source of contention and wonder for a lot of the AI industry, and has, really fueled a lot of the growth, obviously NVIDIA, AMD, and all these semiconductor brands. So they break down the statistics of who's using these GPUs and how they're using them. A minority own or operate GPUs themselves, so that's 13.2%, while 38.9% of people are splitting between renting from a major cloud provider and emerging providers. That's 15.8%. Just under a third aren't using GPUs directly at all. So it's really interesting to see those kind of like numbers break out the way they have. And the jury is out whether operating costs of GPUs are returning an actual investment. A slight majority say yes versus 30.6% that say no or don't know. Obviously, a lot of the models in the future will take billions of dollars and millions of dollars of GPUs to train. But, it's interesting to see if the juice is worth the squeeze when you're using these GPUs for AI for a lot of, corporations and even mid-sized companies that are going to be leveraging these AI, tools. One of the best parts of the AI report is this portion right here that talks about the pain points that people experience when, working with these AI models. And I think that a lot of this reflects what we see in just the AI community. And I think it's only going to get better from this time point on. So you can see that, the biggest pain point is model output accuracy slash hallucinations. Hallucinations are a huge pain point because, you don't want to trust the information if it's, bringing these hallucinations that are, providing false information or, gathering snippets of information and then it's still wrong. But I think within 2 to 3 years, we will see this drastically improved with just the amount of technology that's going into these models and how much better these companies are getting at retrieving accurate information from these AI models. And then we see all of the other, pain points here like data access slash security, cost, and then also just, trying to get the best out of the model itself with prompt engineering and, getting the best speed and performance. The last question that they ask of the respondents in the AI report is what is the likelihood of AGI in the next 10 years? We can see that nearly 45% of respondents think that it's going to be high or very high chance of AGI happening within the next 10 years. So obviously we are going to be in for a world of change in the tech landscape, and not only the tech landscape, but just the world in general, especially when AGI arrives. And I think personally that we have about 5 to 7 years before that happens because the AI industry has been exponentially growing, and I think that's just going to keep on having that same pace of growth for at least the next 3 to 4 years. Thank you for tuning in. This has been Mastering Machines, where we discover tomorrow's reality.